I'm Alex Bowden, founder of Asymmetrix, and I'm here today with the co-founder and COO of Tathya.earth, Nikkit Shrungarpawar. Founded in 2019, Tathya are building a platform to monitor critical assets and infrastructure impacting the global commodities supply chain in real time. They apply machine learning on satellite images to provide data and insights on assets such as industrial units, ports, and mines. Tathya sells into financial institutions, policymakers, and companies in the commodities value chain, like producers, traders, and consumers. Privately owned Tathya took pre-seed investment from angels and incubators. COO Nikkit Shrungarpawar is here today to tell us more about the business. Nikkit previously led marketing and product teams at Vodafone and Reliance. Welcome, Nikkit.
Thank you, Alex. Pleasure to be here.
Wonderful to have you here today. So tell us all about Tathya. How did you get started?
Yeah, so while we were working together in a Reliance company called Money Control, it is India's largest research house, I would say, and it's a very old company. So while we were working there together, we saw that the research team used to face a lot of challenges in terms of availability of data sets. And we saw that there is a challenge here because since the research team was facing challenges with the data, they couldn't do the forecasting projections and the numbers always used to change. So we saw that there is a gap in the market here, which can be filled using some alternative data where not relying on the publicly available information given by the companies, by their CEOs, by their leadership team. Is there some other way? Can we use information which can supplement the researchers or say the traders and people who are involved in the value chain in their daily research or say in their projections and forecasting? And that is where this journey started. Worked on the weekends, a typical startup founder journey. Then spoke to a lot of people in the market, institutions, friends who could help us, guide us, that are we going in the right direction, build the initial prototype, and then eventually went into the market with our first MVP, which was again had to go through a lot of iterations. But yeah, the journey started because we saw that researchers, even today, I think they face challenges. There are a lot of news today with the advent of AI and all, AI agents and all coming in. But I think data still remains the key. Somebody holding on to data, the LLM models and everything that is being spoken about today, data remains the key. And that is what we have built in the last 5 years, collected a lot of proprietary ground level data in countries like India, China, Korea, Japan, Europe, and all these data in addition to our proprietary algorithms which have satellite data, this ground level data also goes into our model. So that has been the journey. And yes, the final product is what the researchers and everybody involved in the commodities value chain use today.
Brilliant. And so how do you make money? What's your business model?
So we have a platform. We give an annual subscription of the platform. We have segregated the platform into different commodities. So we monitor ferrous as well as non-ferrous metals, and we monitor the entire gamut of supply chain, like we also mentioned in the introduction. We monitor how much mining is happening. We monitor how much production is happening. We monitor how much inventory is there. So we monitor all the three important nodes of supply chain, which are essential to understand the supply and demand gaps as well as the future forecast in the market. So we provide the platform which can be used by different companies basis the commodities that they are trading in, basis the node of the supply chain that they are in, and then it's an annual subscription based service which we provide to the clients.
Makes sense. Um, how many clients do you have roughly?
We have clients in double digit on the mid double digit side of the spectrum, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, great. So mid double digits, so somewhere around 50-ish clients. And what's been your growth strategy? How have you gone from 0 to 50? How have you done that?
Yeah. So since we started from Mumbai in India, we were based here. So we looked at the ferrous commodities initially, because if you see the emerging markets like India, China, every these countries were using more of steel, and even they are using more steel today because the emerging economies build infra first. So that is why we started with ferrous commodities, which is steel, and then monitored the raw materials required for steel making, like say coking coal, iron ore, and all. So we started with the ferrous commodities, and then we saw that there is a huge demand for the base metal side in the Western world. So the zero was, say, the ferrous commodities, and then initially we were only looking at production, but then we saw that only production doesn't complete the complete picture of the supply chain. Yes, there are many more nodes that we intend to monitor in near future, but the three main nodes, as I mentioned earlier, product mining, production, and inventory. So we started with production, and then we realized that if we cover the entire gamut of ferrous supply chain, like how much iron ore is being mined, how much iron ore inventory is there, how much coking coal is mined, how much coking coal inventory is there, then how much steel is being produced. All this completes the ferrous supply chain. So started from just the production part, worked with clients, spoke to a lot of people, and then started monitoring the complete supply chain of commodity.
That makes sense. So so as you've moved up and down the supply chain, that has driven growth in your client base.
Yes. So as I mentioned, we started with the ferrous supply chain. So Singapore and Hong Kong were the two important hubs. So initial clients that we got were from Singapore as a country. And then when we started speaking, we started going to different conferences. We started speaking to people. We
Mm.
realized base metals is also there. Then we started working on zinc, copper, which we are monitoring. And the next in pipeline would be aluminum, bauxite, nickel, which is again in a huge demand because for the electric vehicles, batteries, and all, we need more and more of these metals. And
Yeah.
we would be monitoring them in due course of time.
So it's been a kind of multi-vector growth, geographical, commodity type, supply chain, where in the supply chain it fits, and your clients have suggested which direction to go in, and you've grown within those businesses and with new clients.
Yes, yes. So I still remember our first client who took the subscription. He was pretty skeptical what this data would tell me, how I would use this data. And he took a very small subscription. I think it was 3,500 something, $3,500 for annual subscription. So that $3,500 subscription that he took initially, he was a bit skeptical, and that's why it was a small amount. And that client grew into six digits over a period
Mm.
of 1 year. So that was
Okay.
the journey.
So you grew the client from $3,500 to over six digits in 1 year.
Yes, that particular client journey, I'm saying how
Mm.
it went from just a small amount of 3,500 to six digits.
Yeah. And have you seen that kind of trajectory across your clients that they tend to come in at a lower price point and grow as they take more from you?
Yes, yes. So now, obviously, it is not 3,500. The base has increased a lot in the last 5 years. But yes, we have seen that when a particular client initially subscribes for one commodity, one node of supply chain, and once he gets confidence into this data, because this is a new data set. At least if you look at the data sets that we are producing, at least I have not seen somebody in the market who is monitoring all the nodes of supply chain. We have seen people
Mm.
look at shipments data. We have seen people look at how the vessel movement has happened. But if you look at somebody who is understanding, looking at mining, production, inventory, as well as the shipment data, there are very few people. So initially, a researcher or an analyst has to spend some time to understand the data. But once he starts using the data, he sees the value. That is why we even have quant funds also as our clients today.
Yeah. And so are you selling an all-you-can-eat subscription to all of your data, or do you slice it by industry vertical or commodity? How does that work?
Yeah, so we slice it by commodity vertical. We slice it by the commodity vertical. We slice it by the geography. If a client is focused on a particular geography, we also work on a bespoke model. Suppose a client wants to monitor a particular geography which is of interest for him, we do that as well.
Hmm. So are you seeing a good proportion of your revenues coming from bespoke work?
Not much, but yes, they contribute a decent, I would say about 10 to 15% to the revenue. But largely it is all the major geographies, because what happens is when a client takes our data, what he looks at is the data points or the nodes of supply chain that he is using, are they impacting the prices? So suppose the mining data that he has taken from me or the production data that he has taken from me, he would like to monitor all the assets that impact the prices. So understanding all the assets that impact the prices is a key feature for any of the client. And then if there are any additional two or three assets or infra that he wants to monitor, he asks that to bundle it in the existing subscription, which we do. But majority, whatever assets impact the prices, generally client intend to subscribe to those assets for the
Yeah.
particular method.
Um, and how many users do you have in total? How many seats have you sold across those 50 clients?
So currently we do not have a seat kind of a model.
Okay.
We provide data in APIs platform, unlimited kind of a subscription, unlimited users who can subscribe, because we still believe these are initial days. We want to penetrate the market more. So we haven't restricted to the number of users, number of API hits and all those stuff. Currently, whosoever accesses our data, he gets it in API, platform access, everything is available in that subscription.
That makes sense.
And
I would imagine if your clients need to integrate your data with pricing data, that an API will be essential for that.
yes, yes. And that has been the strategy also for us, that we want more and more clients to use the data initially, because what I have coming partly from a financial world, I have seen that once a researcher or an analyst start using the data in their pricing model, he will not stop using that or get
Mm.
away from that data. So that's the thought behind providing unlimited users and access, so that multiple analysts, researchers in that particular company should use the data more and more. And once they get used to the data, then after a certain point of time, we can think of user restrictions and all those stuff. And important aspect to that has been, so the satellite images that we work upon freely available low and medium resolution satellite images. Okay. And that is where we spent about 1.5 years in the technology piece. So we worked on the freely available satellite images and built our proprietary algorithms using those images and the ground level data that we collected from different geographies, which helped us keep the cost low. Because if you would have seen, there were a lot of big players when we entered the market in the US, which were funded by Goldman Sachs, Chevron, Itochu, and all those big names who you can have on your cap table. But the challenge was they were using very high resolution satellite images, which led to increase in the product cost. And eventually they had to shut down, or probably shut down the company or shut down the product as well. And that is where our key was, or the thought process was, that we don't want to use the costly high resolution satellite images. Our focus was to use the low and medium satellite images from NASA, European Space Agency, Indian Space Research Organization. That is what we worked upon, spent a considerable amount of time on the technology, and came up with a product cost which was acceptable to everybody in the market, which helped us penetrate the market as well.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So we've talked a little bit about how you've had a kind of product-led sales strategy, developing new products as your clients have requested stuff. Um, what's your best sales technique though? Otherwise, how are you winning new clients?
It's outbound reach that we do. Also, I keep sending on a research that we do using our data compared to prices, compared to what the industry is moving in, and keep sending, pushing that through LinkedIn, in their message boxes, in the public forum, emailing them the research that we do. It helps generate interest in the clients, and eventually they ask us, can you provide me this? Can I take a trial for say 1 week, 2 week? And I know once a client comes for a trial, if he has already gone through my research, he would know the best possible way to look at the data. Obviously I cannot tell him how to use the data in his research, but at least I give him the perspective with my research, because as I mentioned, this is a new kind of data set that is there in the market. I Generally, if you look at the mining data, the production data is reported by companies on a quarterly basis. And again, they don't report, companies don't report all the data on a quarterly basis. They will report for, say, few of their assets. Most of the companies are, say, private companies like, say, Trafigura, one of the biggest companies in the commodity space. It is a private company. So they will not report their numbers. So you don't get this information like we provide on a weekly basis. So this is a new set of information for somebody to include it in his model. So that is why we do the research, keep pushing it to clients through LinkedIn message, LinkedIn forum, uh, emails and everything. And then when they see this data, they already have a perspective, which helps us have at least 1 foot in the door. And then the meeting and the trial helps us convert that.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So you said you've got roughly, you're halfway in double digits
Yes.
clients wise. Where are you roughly on revenues? Can you give us a ballpark?
We should be in a position this year to cross 1 million in ARR.
Okay, brilliant. Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Um, it's always a good landmark for a business to reach that
Yeah.
point. Um, and you you mentioned at the beginning that or I mentioned at the beginning that you raised money from angels and incubators. Can you tell us a little bit about the experience of taking part in an incubator? Who did you work with?
Sure, sure. So we were part of an incubator based here in India called TurboStart, and another incubator called Alchemist based out of Stanford, US. So it was a good experience, I would say, because first time founders, how to navigate the journey and how a startup or a company should be made. All those things were pretty helpful. How do we speak to the VCs? How do we tell the story, because storytelling is also a very important aspect when we are a startup founder. So the storytelling, the interactions, the introductions that we got through the incubators, all that thing was pretty helpful. And in that journey, we got angels who were from the industry. So if you look at our angels, they are traders, they are shipping guys, they have been part of the hedge fund. So that also helped us a lot. People coming from the industry joining us, because that gave a morale boost, as well as that helped us going in the right direction in terms of product. So the initial, or say the MVP of the product, that was also pretty helpful with the incubators as well as the angels coming.
And are any of those investors active in the business, or are they uh, quiet, so, quiet investors?
So the angels, couple of them are pretty active. They help us a lot in terms of what should we do in terms of product next, and what if there are any challenges in terms of product, we also reach out to them for help.
Hmm, fantastic. Um, you haven't taken any other. Oh, they invested those accelerators, right? Incubators. They
Yeah.
put money in.
Yes, yes. So the
And
accelerators and incubators invested and the angels. So that's how we raised our pre-seed kind of round, I would say.
and that was back in 2019, 2020.
2020, 22, yeah.
Okay.
21, 22, yeah.
So it's been a while now since you took investment. What are you thinking?
Yeah, so we are currently our client revenue has been decent enough, fingers crossed and touch wood, which has helped us sail through the journey in the last 2 to 3 years. And I think in terms of funding, we are looking at crossing that 1 million mark in ARR to get to that, because we are close by, and it helps us as a company. And personal goals, I would also say, when you start a company, you have a personal goal in terms of revenue, product, where do we go? So that is the benchmark that we have for the next fundraise.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. What's the team size today? How many of you are there?
So we are a team of 9 people today, and it's a small team. But if you see, our founding team is a mix of business plus tech. So, and we have a few people who have joined us, right, 2021, 22, when our last, we just had one guy who joined us last year, but rest of the team has been there since a long period of time. We had a zero churn, so nobody has left us even from the founding team. So I think we have built a good product in terms of tech also, because the guys have not left, and they are enjoying what they are doing.
Yeah,
So
that's brilliant. That's really brilliant. Sorry, you cut out a little bit. What was the number of employees again?
nine employees.
9. Okay, cool. And that's brilliant that you've had no churn. That's a great sign. What's driving that employee retention, do you think?
I think there are a lot of things to do in the product. And now with the advent of AI and these LLM, data becomes the key, because now the models, and anybody can fine tune the models. But yeah, not exactly what we do, but still there is a scope. But the key becomes the data now. So I think now we also are thinking of in near future, there are a lot of reports, Bloomberg articles and all, which say we are looking at a $1 billion hedge fund with single person handling it with AI agents and tools. So I think those AI agents and tool will have to come, or would be through proprietary data. So the data becomes the key. And if you see now, we have data that is being collected for the last 5 years. So a good chunk of data on the different nodes of supply chain across geographies, across commodities, and useful to different genre of clients as well. We have fundamental guys, we have researchers, we have quant guys. So that data is the key. So the future with all these AI coming in takes us to a different direction and tangent, which is further more interesting. And I think everybody, including our employees, are looking forward to that journey.
That makes sense. I mean, I think that personal growth is a real motivating factor to keep people in a business. So sounds like, as you said, there's plenty for people to do and learn. So yeah, congratulations. Are they all in Mumbai, or where are your employees based?
We are now setting up a tech team in Bangalore. That is the thought process, because Bangalore is the tech hub of India. So business will keep being in Mumbai, because all the big companies are there in Mumbai. And now India has a good growth story. So everybody is looking at, I believe, India, and the business capital remains Mumbai. So Mumbai would be the business, and the Bangalore would be a tech. that is what we are working on. The transition is in process.
That makes sense. Um, let's just shift from employee retention to logo retention. What is your customer churn like? How have you been getting on with keeping hold of your clients?
Yeah. So thanks for that question. In the last 4 years since we launched the product, we just had one churn.
Amazing.
So that has been our client retention rate. So just
For,
one churn.
for,
We
for, for, sorry, for a startup, that's really great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Sorry, I interrupted. What were you going to say?
So I'm saying that also we wanted to avoid, but the market scenario, especially the geopolitical crisis after the Russia-Ukraine war led to that. Otherwise, probably we wouldn't have lost that client as well.
Okay, amazing. So just moving away from the business and getting a bit personal, talking to you, we talked about how all the exciting things you have to do is helping to keep your team together. And you know, you're going to stay as long as you're engaged and learning. What are you looking forward to learning about over the next 12 months? What's exciting you at the moment?
Yeah. So the excitement currently with me is even the financial world has started talking a lot about AI and this LLM thing that is coming up. And I've seen a lot of startups in the US and as well in London have raised a lot of money saying AI agents for research or AI research agents for hedge funds or traders or something like that. And a large chunk of money has been raised, and this is exactly the same situation that was there in 2018-19 in terms of remote sensing or using satellite images to build the product. So if you look at, I'm in both stages of the history where I saw satellite images being used to build something like this, or say remote sensing concepts being used to build something like this. Now I'm in the another part of history where everybody is talking about AI agents and AI to be used by researchers and analysts as the next big thing. So the next 12 months for me on a personal thing is to understand how this journey shapes up, because I've seen one journey, and even for this journey, I'm also pretty excited. And we have the proprietary data, which is a key if somebody wants to, or even we want to go to that stage. We have got couple of interests from our clients who want us to build this AI agent kind of a thing for them, for their own set of commodities that they are monitoring and their own set of research. So these 12 months are going to be pretty excited, combining what we have built till date and what next is coming with the AI thing in the market.
Yeah, I can hear that coming through. You are clearly passionate about what's going to be possible using AI. What's your favorite book?
So I think I keep reading onto for the commodities bit by bit. But recently there was a book by Samuel. I think everybody talked about. I'm unable to recollect the name. Just a second. Unhedged. Uh, uh, Sorry, I'll answer this question.
That's okay. Come back to it. Let's come back to it.
Yes.
It's easy to blank on this stuff when you're put on the spot. Is there a CEO that you particularly like to follow or study, a leader, a business leader who you admire?
Yeah, I admire Kepler a lot. So
Ah,
I follow Frank Weiss and I admire John a lot, John Paskin. So I
okay.
think these two are the guys, and both have built brilliant products. John built it in the days and went on to sell it to S&P. Then he was again involved with another startup, and he's a fabulous guy. And then the next person is Frank Weiss, another brilliant journey that he had from what they did initially to going into LNG and the market which they were not initially thinking of. So these two guys I follow a lot. and I'm in the same industry, so it keeps the fire burning to understand what these guys are looking at next.
Great. Yeah, I agree. They're both really excellent entrepreneurs, and John Paskin, particularly friend of Asymmetrix. He's a brilliant thinker, and yeah, people should talk to John more. Um, what's your favorite personal online tool that you use when you're building the business? For example, I used to use Notion a lot. That's always been very helpful for me. What do you like to use to help you be more productive?
Yeah, I think Notion, even I use it a lot for structuring things. And it's just that it has become a bit costly these days. But I think even I would agree to Notion that it's actually a brilliant tool to structure everything from your, can be your pitch decks to writing a story on the product, what next you intend to build on the product, even putting up the wireframes and everything. So I would second you on that about Notion.
Yep, fantastic. Yeah, everyone loves Notion. Um, the final question, what do you wish your 20-year-old self knew? What if you could go
So
back in time, what would you tell your 20-year-old self?
yeah, I would tell my 20-year self that this idea was there in my mind for a long time, and the idea I actually started working after a decade.
Mm.
Rather, so I would tell my 20-year-old self that what you think actually can be explored. So when you have that idea in mind, I think you should speak to people. You should try to explore more on that idea. Probably when I was 20-year-old, internet was not that big. We had to pay very hefty charges in India to have an internet connection. So I would tell my 20-year self that uh, your mind works a lot, and if you have some idea, talk to people at that point of time, because this idea I had in my mind for a long time, and the time it took shape, it was a decade past. So keep exploring, keep tinkering, keep speaking to people. Probably that is the age to start a startup, and not when I did, probably.
Well, Nick, thank you. I agree. You've got to believe in yourself and make it happen. So thank you very much, Nikkit, from Tathya.earth. A brilliant and really interesting, innovative business. Tathya has got roughly 50 clients. It's broken the $1 million ARR barrier with only 9 employees.
We'll be breaking that in this year end. That's the target.
About to break it,
Yeah.
and has only to date raised a small amount of seed money. And yeah, great. We expect great things from you. Thank you very much for joining us today, Nikkit.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Alex. Pleasure talking to you.